Hello, viewers, and welcome to the latest episode of the Huddle. Tim Paul here, editor of Gambling Insider and Gaming America, and I'm with Ben Sutherland, CEO of Greentube USA. Ben, thanks very much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
Looking forward to speaking to you all about Greentube and the US market. To start off with, as I say, you sit here as CEO of the USA division, but can you walk us through how you got there? What's your story?
Yeah. Previous to being CEO of Greentube USA, I was CEO and co-founder of Present Creative, a company that was acquired by Greentube a couple years ago. At Present Creative, we were a work-for-hire studio making games and game content for a bunch of other big players. I did that for almost 2 decades, and the team grew up to a close to 50-person team before we turned into Greentube USA. We met the Greentube team when we were starting to look for funding for some of our own games, thinking we were going to take on a round of funding. We had previously been a totally bootstrap company, but the synergies between us and Greentube Austria were amazing. We liked the same game types. The game types that we made in particular were ones that they wanted to flesh out their portfolio on. Even our technology stacks were very complementary, where we had a bunch of focus in the front end and they had a bunch of focus in the back end. So all in all, it was a great match.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to hear, you've got a company in America and a company in Austria, but given as you say, the type of games and the business and the industry that kindred spirits, that kind of synergy.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned being acquired, but obviously Greentube itself was acquired by Novomatic. How helpful have kind of the resources perhaps of a larger parent company like that been for you guys?
I mean, Novomatic in that sense is a fantastic partner. First of all, there's a large amount of autonomy. So they don't want to meddle in the day-to-day affairs. They just want to make sure that you're doing it right. But from the other side, we have this fabulous wealth of resources we can call on as needed. And this is true across legal issues and bureaucratic issues, to technology, to relationships and business development. So it's actually a fantastic relationship.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the autonomy point you mentioned there, it's quite important. It's probably what anyone who's being acquired, probably if the one thing they could hold on to is that autonomy. So is it a kind of best of both worlds that you say you've got those resources, but then you maintained a degree of autonomy as well?
Yeah, right now it's definitely the best of both worlds. There really is just so many lifetimes worth of expertise at Novomatic to draw on. But at the same time, they're very busy people running a number of other businesses, and so yeah, right now we're focusing on the production and the audience here in the US.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of positive notes so far. Not necessarily negative, but in terms of challenges, I think a big one in the North American space is, well, globally in terms of gaming and game design, very competitive space. Everyone's looking for an edge to stand out. How have you guys been finding kind of the ability to stand out, and what do you maybe try and do to make that happen?
Well, there are times when you want to stand out, and there's times when you want to build a product that fits into the comfort zone of the user population. And sometimes that really is one that doesn't necessarily stand out, but feels like it's part of this family that they're used to. So for us, we like to maintain a balance between games that are tried and true mechanics and themes that are tested and we know resonate, and then also some amount of innovation every year. So we hope that by creating that balance and hedging our bets in both fields, we have a portfolio that is appealing to multiple types of users.
Yeah, and maybe if I could follow up on that note, is it perhaps important not to innovate just for innovation's sake? Because as you say, there are some kind of classic themes that will always apply to the core gamer.
Yeah, I mean, I think keeping a team who's responsible for innovation and then testing out if those innovations actually resonate is very important. But there are games that are classic today, have been classic for decades even, and are probably going to remain classic. And there's a user population that still loves those. And so even if you've invented the newest, best shiny idea, it still might not resonate with the players for a whole decade. So for now, you still have to build the games that are performing well today.
Mm-hmm. Sure. If we were to look into some business specifics for Greentube USA, you've got Pennsylvania. Can you tell me a couple of questions on Pennsylvania, but to keep it broad to start off with, can you tell us about your Pennsylvania launch?
Well, I mean, we are very excited about Pennsylvania. It definitely adds in a large population and a population that we actually already know that we do well in based on the types of games that flow through from Novomatic to Greentube. While there's more similarities than there are differences between Pennsylvania and New Jersey or Pennsylvania and Michigan. There are some nuanced differences, and from what we've seen, we have some game types, some classic game types that really resonate with the population there. So not only is it an exciting expansion for us, a large user base for us, but also we have a feeling that a lot of our titles are going to do rather well there.
So I mean, you touched on it there, but I think for me, if I was looking at a market like Pennsylvania, I probably, because what we have in the past compared it very directly to New Jersey, neighboring markets are very similar in terms of, well, there's differences in size and makeup, but if you were to compare Pennsylvania to New Jersey, perhaps for a newcomer coming in, I mean, what would be the most direct comparison or maybe piece of advice perhaps you might have?
Well, interestingly, if you look at the say, top 50 lists, there's actually slightly more overlap with them and Michigan than there is with them in New Jersey. There's still lots of overlap. In general, if you're in the top 50 list in one, there's a 33% chance that you're in a top 50 list in the other two.
Yeah.
But there is slightly more between Pennsylvania and Michigan. Now, why is there slightly more? What's that slight difference there? Some of it definitely has to do with the unique titles that are targeting that one population. For example, the sports team themed one is different in each one. Those ones definitely only occur in each of the separate top 50 lists. But from a comparison, again, from a comparison between New Jersey and Pennsylvania versus Michigan and Pennsylvania, there's slightly more similarities with Michigan.
No, very, very interesting to note. And certainly from someone not part of that world, obviously I'm over here in the UK. Can we talk a little bit about lottery now? So can you tell us a little bit about your lottery expansion? And what I'm wondering is how important the lottery market is for companies as a source of revenue for kind of add-ons when it comes to online games.
From a point of view of revenue already coming through us, it is not large compared to the rest of our iGaming reaches, but it is a sector that we expect to grow. And there's also something that's very exciting in the iLottery side, which is in part, I presume, because they want to differentiate themselves so much from iGaming and casinos, they tend to really thirst for innovation, whereas a lot of the operators within iGaming are first and foremost looking for titles that they know already resonate with the user base. So from the innovation side, it's very exciting. And actually some of the titles some of our more innovative titles we release there first, and then hopefully they propagate over to the iGaming side as opposed to always bringing from iGaming over to iLottery.
That's interesting given the kind of note we had earlier on the innovation side as well. And you mentioned the kind of looking for growth. How much potential is there in the iLottery kind of that particular area?
Well, I mean, there is a lot of game types within lottery, and then specifically there's the e-instance or iInstant style gameplay, which is most like the iCasino stuff. So there is a lot of opportunities, especially in the bigger states, for that e-instant category. But then also there's these separate products, but very similar, draw games and other types of game types that are popular in iLottery, but not popular in iGaming. So there's growth opportunity there as well. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, absolutely, yeah. In terms of potential and growth opportunity, yeah. I mean, there is an awful lot of cross-sell across these different verticals, and I think obviously the more states that legalize iGaming, the more states that legalize sports betting, even though most of them, I think, to some degree, and some people already have, you're going to have a lot of cross-selling across these different verticals. But certainly, you definitely answered the question in terms of potential and growth. If I were to broaden the horizon, as we mentioned, there's a few verticals. What other plans do you have upcoming for 2024? So we sit here in early 2024, so we've had a little bit of the year so far, had time to test the waters. What's on the horizon for the rest of it?
Well, personally for Greentube USA, it's lots of production. So we have a incredibly booked roadmap of products we're working on. There'll be a lot of heads down on our computers, making the products happen, making sure that they're released on time and released as we want them. So really for us, it's all about production this year.
Sure. And I've got a final question for you. And given what I just said about the kind of iGaming and different verticals, I'm hoping it's an interesting one, because we literally just saw Rhode Island go live as the 7th iGaming state. How do you rate the progress of iCasino within the US? Because obviously, compared to sports, as I kind of alluded to, much slower. But I believe there is an industry-wide expectation that it's not a case of if, it's when. It might be a longer way down the road, but we will see an ecosystem where iGaming is kind of nationwide.
I think from everyone's point of view, it is slower than everyone would like, but it's definitely still going in the right direction. Very happy to see Rhode Island come on board as well. And every election cycle, there is a chance something else will come along, and there's steps in the right directions continuously, be they at every level. And that's true also over in the iLottery side, where you just see added expansion of game types and different states coming on board. So all very exciting, all going in the right direction. And yes, it'd be great if there was more already out there, but it's still looking up.
Absolutely. So you keep producing, you keep your eyes on the regulation, and as you say, we watch this space, plenty of excitement to come, 2024 and beyond.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ben. And to our viewers, thanks for joining us.